Hello there, it's me again. I'm gonna tell you a story about how my failed English project reborn like a phoenix. All started with a crazy idea to use an app to improve my English skills. Using the MTV app, I thought I would meet native English speakers and interview them. This made me feel very interested in the project. I went to buy a light ring to have better lighting and have my hands free to make notes. The day before the deadline to hand in the project, I got up extremely optimistic because I could dedicate the entire day to the project. Days ago, I had rehearsed the questions and answers, different greetings, and ways of thinking so as not to sound so basic. I laid out my whole recording set to begin. I was very excited to meet new people. I opened the app and chose Great Britain, and then I swapped to start. At first, I swapped frenetically because I felt scared to talk with the strangers. I closed the app and tried to calm down. I encouraged me, told myself, you can do it, come on. I rehearsed my lines again and I was empowered. I opened the app again, but now it was not me who was sliding but them. Nobody spoke. I graded and nobody answered. They were people playing the guitar, writing, or just watching, but they didn't respond. I felt somewhat confused by the reaction of the people. I closed the app again and thought about what I could do to get their attention. I decided to hold a sign that said, "Could I make you some questions?" They only read it, but in the same way, nobody responded. I got anguished because I had no backup plan, and I had already spent more than a half a day trying to get the interviews. I decided to look for other similar apps, but I got the same result. I was furious because nobody spoke, to the point that when my sister called me to eat without realizing, I answered it aggressively, "I'm not hungry, let me finish." When I realized, I felt guilty, and I went downstairs to apologize. There was no justification for having behaved like this. I ate and decided to try one more time, but the response were disappointing again. I looked for new apps and found some where only the audio and text were shared. I used it and likewise, no one responded. I was desperate, but I finally found one that allowed you to enter a chat rooms where they talk about diverse topics. The hope and happiness returned to me at that moment, but it did not for so long because it took me more than an hour to be able to intervene in a room. I ended up in a chat room where they talk about the habits we wanted to live, and when I intervened, I said that the horrible habit that I wanted to quit is the procrastination, because I was thinking about that if I hadn't let at last to test the app, I wouldn't be in trouble. After listening to the great advice from the other mates, I chose to enter other chat rooms. Then I decided to close the app and give up. I was disappointed for not getting material for my project. I went to hit the sack, plunged into my sadness, and kept thinking about what I could do to get the project done, and if I would get able to finish it before the deadline. The next day, I decided to ignore my alarm, but instead of pressing snooze, I pressed turn off alarm. I went back to sleep and suddenly I woke up alarmed because it was already too late and I had to rush to work. While I was driving, I was hitting the ceiling for having quitted the alarm. Fortunately, I arrived early at work, so I felt glad. At work, I had anything pending, so I thought it would be a birthday. But I remembered that I had to do my cards from the list of verbs, and I began to work on it. I had done 3 cards when my co-workers started asking me for help. Eduardo, I don't understand how to work this. Could you teach me? Eduardo, are you busy? Could you explain me how to do this? Eduardo, what do you think about the immortality of the crop? After the 3rd interruption, I was annoyed, and suddenly I was surprised because it was class time. While I was walking, I felt scared because I had not made any progress in my English assignment. I get in the classroom, like every class, seeing the kind faces of "I ignore you" from my classmates. While I was sitting, we received a group message from my dear teacher stating that we will have another quiz that day. I was frightened. When I finished the quiz, I felt depressed because I knew I would get a bad grade. But on the other hand, I was happy because I will have more time to finish my project. When I arrived home, I got a little emotional while I was wondering about what I could do. I remember my father's words, always encouraged me to be perseverant and consoling me that even if everything was bad, I had to get the good out of it. And that's how I decided to tell you this story and present it as my project. Now I feel proud of what I got from this.